It's currently raining, so if you hear any noise, that's thunder, okay? So apologies. But are you familiar with the game hide and seek? I'm sure you are. I mean, I think almost every kid has played some semblance of this game at some point in their lives growing up. I personally used to love this game, okay? I just love the feeling of being so good at hiding that the seeker gets visibly frustrated, and I come out with a triumphant smile on my face so they know I'm better than them. What does that say about me? That's probably not a good thing. I'm showing a lot of myself right now. Now, the question of the day is, what happens when the whole country, almost on a national level, is playing a game of hide and seek with extremely dangerous men who feel cornered and are willing to do just about anything to avoid being caught? And better yet, why are we involved in a game of hide and seek that we never volunteered to play? What do you do when it feels like almost every corner is hiding a danger that one wrong move could cost you dearly? Hi Digestives, welcome to Crimes Digested. This is a place where we try to digest senseless crimes happening around us all day. If you're new here, welcome. And if this is not your first time seeing my face, I just want to say a quick thank you for taking time out of your busy days, to join me. On Crimes Digested, we attempt, emphasis on attempt, to delve into the most perplexing true crime stories happening around us all over the world. And some of them are sad, okay? Some are kind of unbelievable too. Some even unexpectedly funny in the most tragic of ways. But most of all, these stories are a constant reminder to us of the dark nature and the cruelty of humanity. Today's story is a roller coaster of twist and turn. It sounds like a TV show, I feel like, but every single thing is our current reality. But very quick disclaimer, and then we'll get into the story, I promise, okay? Everything in this video is alleged, and sometimes my own personal opinion that no one asked for. Most of the information is what I could gather online. So I'm gonna just ask you to please form your own opinion, okay? And if you have any additional information that you feel like should be mentioned, or if there's something wrong or misleading in this video, please go ahead and leave them down in the comment section so that we can all learn from each other. It's never too late to learn, okay? But as always, let's try to be respectful to one another in the comment section. That way we can foster a safe space for every single person to share their thoughts and opinions and whatever else, okay? With that said, let's get into the story. In the dead of the night, deep, deep, deep in the heart of New Orleans, 10 inmates vanished. Their escape felt almost like an episode of Breaking Bad. Like they snuck out through a toilet hole. Okay, I guess not a literal toilet hole, but there was a hole in the wall where a toilet used to be. And all of this happened without a single guard noticing a single thing. You gotta ask, were they sleeping? And even if they were dozing off, would you not unconsciously be aware of your surroundings when you know for a fact you should not be sleeping on the job? So how do you not hear all of that ruckus? I'm gonna be the first person to admit that I used to be a very, very, very deep sleeper, okay? Like almost in a coma kind of deep. The type that requires a natural disaster level of noise for me to wake up, unless I come to naturally, of course. Now that I think about it, it doesn't sound like a good thing. That might not have been a good thing. But even then, if I was dozing off in a public area or in a classroom, even a pin drop on the floor would wake me up. So everything about this whole story is a giant flag, and the color is red, my favorite color. The whole nation was on alert. These men are some of, if not the most dangerous criminals out there. I mean, one was waiting trial for a double murder that happened on Mardi Gras Day, another charged with forwarding and kidnapping. Some of them were charged with very brutal crimes, and others were awaiting minor hearings. But one thing that everyone can agree on is the fact that they should have never, ever been able to just disappear. Over 12 hours passed before anyone realized that the 10 men were nowhere near the prison. And by then, well, with all of that head start, two of them had already crossed state lines. But is it really shocking though? Now, I'm sure you're wondering, how exactly does a modern jail let 10 inmates disappear like a scene straight out of the Shawshank Redemption, but dumber? I know, very, very old reference. I promise I'm not that old. Like, I act so old, but I'm not that old. But you should check it out if you're curious. It's a very interesting movie, at least I think it is. Anyways, that's the wild ride of today's story, okay? The whole shenanigan is, to put it mildly, embarrassing, infuriating, and quite frankly, dangerous failure of the city's jail system that's already infamously known for its dysfunction. And don't worry, because I'm here to tell you all about it, okay? I got you, boo. I got you. This is not a simple story about a jailbreak. It's a questionable story about, I guess, systemic collapse. Civilian workers turned accomplices, and inmates communicating with outsiders through a cell phone that they should not have in the first place. Alright? So go ahead, get comfortable, because we're gonna be here for a while, okay? Get comfy. Are you ready? Okay. I'm going to give you a cell by cell, crime by crime, and court record by court record, but not boring, okay? First, let's meet the 10 men who made headlines across the country, starting with Antoine Massey. He was charged with forward, domestic abuse, battery, and kidnapping. He was actually one of the more dangerous individuals in the group. His charges included allegations of assaulting and abducting a woman during a domestic dispute. This happened in 2023, and as of this recording, he is still at large. And so is Derek Groves. He was charged with 2 second-degree murders and possession of firearms by a felon. Okay, he was still awaiting trial for a double homicide that he committed during the 2018 Mardi Gras in New Orleans. The remaining 8 get caught relatively fast, and I'm not in support of them. I promise you I'm not. I am hoping and praying with everything that they are taken in again and soon. With that said though, I think they should have just stayed with the 2 still on the run, because they chose this fugitive life, okay? The fugitive life did not choose them at all. We're gonna start with Jermaine Donald. Jermaine was charged with attempted second-degree murder and aggravated battery with obstruction of justice and felon with a firearm. Beautiful. He sounds unhinged too. Donald here was accused of shooting a man multiple times in 2022 and then trying to tamper with the evidence. Next, we got Leo Tate. Leo's charges were burglary, illegal possession of stolen things, whatever that means, and drug trafficking. That doesn't sound too bad, right? Well, it seems like the justice system didn't think so either. His case was considered non-violent, but he was part of an organized crew responsible for like a series of break-ins all across the Jefferson parish. So I guess his victims would not share our sentiments, okay? And in the late 2024, he gets arrested, followed by Lanton Van Buren Jr. I don't know. I tried. He was charged with violation of parole, aggravated assault, and a suspected involvement in a murder case. Linton only recently actually got transferred to the justice system in New Orleans after violating his parole in Plaquemine Parish. He took his little parole violation to a whole new level, okay? Then Kendall Miles follows, and he is serving time for aggravated battery, resisting arrest, and possession of narcotics. These people are wild. He's actually known to be a chronic runaway. He's bad at it, but at least he's persistent and consistent, okay? Because get this, in 2023, he apparently slipped out of a transport van, but was immediately detained. Like, immediately. Next up, Robert Moody, who is in for armed robbery and multiple bench warrants. He was in a high-speed chase that ended in a wreck near the Mississippi borders in 2024. This is very recent. And then Gary Price, who got locked up for theft, probation violation, and failure to appear in court. He was also considered to be the lowest risk of the 10. And he was reportedly a follower more than a planner. So more than likely, the others steamrolled him into all of this mess. The Cannon Dennis was serving time for gun charges and stolen properties. There's very little information about him. The only thing that I could find that was notable was some prior juvenile records and a probation violation. And then, last but not least, certainly not least, Corey Boyd. His charges: aggravated burglary. Allegedly, he broke into a home and at gunpoint threatened his victim before fleeing with her electronics. How fun, right? So now imagine those 10 varying levels of violence, all desperate and now unsupervised, just walking out of the Orleans Parish Justice Center in the middle of the night. Sounds like a pretty bad setup for a prison comedy, but unfortunately this isn't. This was not fiction, okay? It all started with a plumbing shutdown. Okay, before you call me crazy and log off, just hold your judgment, okay? I'm not being hyperbolic at all, okay? There's a maintenance worker by the name of Sterling Williams, and he's still an anomaly to me because I still don't get why he even got involved with these inmates in the first place. And on this fateful day, Sterling walks in one of the inmates' cells and allegedly turns off the water for a plumbing issue. The only weird thing about this is that he doesn't report the issue to supervisors as per protocol. There wasn't a work order filed. He doesn't even notify the control tower. Instead, he shuts off the water to the sink and toilet combo and quietly walks out of the cell. With the water now turned off, the inmates remove like the entire metal toilet and sink unit from the wall. Like, who even comes up with that kind of idea? And the labor too. This is how you know it could be me. I don't have any plans of ever being in prison cell, but let's just say hypothetically that I was, and in this hypothetical situation I have to dig, or in this situation pull the toilet out of the wall. Looks like I'm not going nowhere. Just the thought of the unpaid labor is already enough reason for me to get very familiar with my cell and probably get to know my cellmates. But God forbid that would never ever happen, okay? Never. However, our 10 men are now standing there looking at their handiwork. In front of them was a gaping giant hole in the concrete, part of an old maintenance shaft that should have been sealed off years ago. Like, the hole led them to a service corridor. Corridor? There are many words. that I will never ever ever be able to say, and this is one of them. Okay, so leave in the comments if you can relate to this, because I know I'm not the only one. I know there's someone else out there who struggles with what seems to be like an easy word to say, but it's not actually easy. Okay. And from there they headed straight to a loading dock. Nothing weird about a group of guys shoving a toilet out of a wall in the middle of the night. Not suspicious at all. At all. The inmates sneak through the court corridor and emerge outside, where they scale the security fence using clothing as makeshift rope. These guys were actually very productive. A security camera facing that area was, well, you guessed it, broken. Not offline, not being repaired, not glitchy, just not working. For months now, a prison security camera has been out of commission for months, and no one thought, maybe, just maybe, it would be a good idea to get it back up. And the 10 men just walk off into the horizon. How romantic, right? It is now early in the morning and roll call begins. Jail staffs allegedly failed to notice that 10 inmates were missing during the 7 a.m. breakfast count. And if you're thinking, how is this even possible? Well, apparently that's because many of their beds were made. Some of the inmates left decoy folded clothes or pillows under their bed sheets. I thought roll calls involved head counts, but I guess it all hangs on how well you can make your bed in the morning. So if you have any plans to visit a jail cell in the near future, just master how to fold a hospital corner. That'll impress them. It wasn't until lunchtime on May 16, over 12 hours after the escape, that staff realized something was wrong. No shit, Sherlock. Okay, I need to calm down. This case is getting personal at this point. I need to calm down, okay? But one of the inmates' name was called, and this was during lunch. Nothing, no response. Staff went back to the cell to check, and ta-da! The toilet's gone. There is a big gaping hole in the wall, and 10 inmates are now officially gone. Sheriff Susan Hudson gets notified, and within hours, the U.S. Marshal, FBI, ATF, and Louisiana State Police are looped in. It was all hands on deck. Okay, surveillance footage from outside of the jail is pulled, and flight risks are flagged. Civilians all over the country are warned, and their mugshots was plastered all over local news. But here's the thing. The flight risk flag came too little too late, because by the time the manhunt began, 2 of the inmates, like I said, have already left the state. Okay, now let's pause here for a quick second. The jail had no idea for 12 hours the surveillance system didn't work. The water was shut off by a staffer who didn't log anything. And this is the same jail that's already under federal watch for, wait for it, failing to supervise inmates and maintaining basic security. I knew there was something about that place that was fishy to me, okay? It was fishy, I could smell it. All attention was now on Sterling Williams, the maintenance guy, the worker, the man who shut off the water that night. Yeah, he's arrested 2 days later, and the reason the police gave for his arrest was that he enabled the escape. But he says that he was threatened, which sounds logical because, again, why would he get involved with convicted felons unless forced? He tells investigators a story that, if true, he would be another victim. He alleges that the inmates forced him to turn off the water. His hands were forced. He was under duress, and that he feared for his life if he didn't comply. But law enforcement wasn't buying what he was selling. But if you think this story stops at one guy and a missing toilet, you're about to see how deep this rabbit hole or sewage shaft really goes. So now we've got 10 inmates on the run. Law enforcement is scrambling to find answers, or the inmates, pressured by public scrutiny, and the media was not helping them at all. They were on a roll, and I don't know if it's a good thing or not. Leave in the comments what your thoughts are on this. I mean, I don't know. Like, do you think the constant reporting on a high profile case is helpful, or is it doing more harm than it is doing good? What do you think? I want to know what you think about that. The public was losing its collective mind, okay? And this is understandably so. This wasn't some like slick prison break movie. This was gross negligence, followed by radio silence, until almost half of the guys were already gone. At approximately 12:30 p.m., the New Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office issued a bolo, be on the lookout for the escaped inmates. And within the hours, multiple law enforcement agencies were in the loop. They all joined the search. And like I previously mentioned, the U.S. Marshal, the Fugitive Task Force, the FBI, the Louisiana State Police, and the NOPD, the New Orleans Police Department, and even the U.S. Customs and Borders Protection. Like, you know it's serious when TSA gets involved, okay? 6 hours into the manhunt, the first domino falls. Leo Tate, one of the non-violent offenders, was caught wandering barefoot near Gentilly Boulevard. Yes, barefoot. Officers said that he looked disoriented and hungry. I'm not even joking. And reportedly, he asked for food during his arrest. Honestly, that's kind of sad to me. I felt heartbroken for that. Just past midnight, though, officers again tracked down Gary Price in a residential area of New Orleans East, and he was allegedly breaking into a backyard shed to sleep and was found after the homeowner called 911 about a strange noise. That's wild to me. Then came a double catch. Miles and Dennis. They were spotted together in an abandoned shed house near Claiborne Avenue, and a tactical team swept the area immediately. They were using like drones for thermal imaging, and that led to catching them hiding beneath floorboard. It was like CSI Miami shit. They didn't show any resistance whatsoever, probably because they were also starving and freezing to death. Boyd tried to arrange a ride through Instagram DMs. Yeah, allegedly he messaged a cousin to come scoop me up without turning off his location services. And the U.S. Marshals did just that. They went to scoop him up, okay? They intercepted him at Baton Rouge before he could get further north. I know, the brain on this one and his goal is for decoration. This man got caught because he forgot to turn off Instagram location tracking in today's day and age. This just goes to show that jail smart, if he had any, don't always translate to street smarts. It don't. And it turned out that several of the inmates had contraband phones the entire time. It's not really surprising though. I mean, I feel like cell phones are a rite of passage. It's one of those things that everyone in jail will try everything they can at one point to procure. Some of them even posted vague messages after their escape. And so screenshots were immediately sent straight to the police by family members and anonymous tippers. They're so dumb, oh my god. Donald and Moody were picked up after a chase on foot near the Ninth Ward. It was one of the most futile attempts to avoid detainment if I ever saw one. The neighbors recognized Donald from the news and tipped off authorities. And then Moody gets tackled to the ground while trying to run through an alley, still in the orange shirt that he escaped in. Homeboy didn't even get the chance to change clothes. Man walked around in bright orange like he wanted to be caught. Again, as of this recording, two escapees, Antoine Macy and Derek Groves, are still on the run. Macy has ties to Baton Rouge and was last seen in a stolen vehicle that was later found torched. And Grove is believed to have received help from a relative. Police are saying that they're tracking active leads in both the states of Mississippi and Alabama. So we'll see. But in the days that follow, police arrested 3 alleged accomplices. A cousin of Robert Moody, who allegedly provided clean clothes and transport, which, I mean, what can you do? A woman who housed Macy in a motel, which I honestly wonder if she even knew him. I'm trying to play angel's advocate right now because I don't mess with the devil, but what if she didn't know him? What if he forced her to let him into her hotel room? That's a thought. And of course, Sterling Williams, the maintenance worker who shut off the water and never told anyone. New Orleans residents were properly pissed. Some Facebook groups were. They were sharing their theories and speculations, and people were even sharing memes. Yes, memes. As the news spread that 10 inmates escaped through a wall, nobody was checking. One Facebook post caption reads, "Only in NOLA could a toilet be the weak point." There were threads posted on Twitter or X roasting the sheriff. People were even reenacting the escape. You have to give it to us though. One thing about Americans, we cannot be serious to save our lives. The more severe the situation, the better the jokes. And I love that about us, for real. We've been so traumatized that we're no longer fazed by anything at this point, it feels like. But city council members called an emergency meeting, and the sheriff gave a press conference that would make things worse, in a lot of people's opinion. Because during a public statement that she made, she says, quote, "We are reviewing every aspect of our security protocols. This escape is unacceptable, and disciplinary actions are underway." Translation, we have no idea how this happened, but we're working on a PowerPoint about it, and we'll let you know how it goes. Mayor Latoya Cantrell also made a public statement saying that the, quote, "public safety must come first. This breach highlights systemic failures in how we manage our corrections system." And I mean, she's not wrong. Because the system didn't just fail. It literally face planted. But as of late May 2025, the New Orleans Parish District Attorney's Office has filed the following charges. Okay, you ready? These are against the escapees. Common charges including simple escape, criminal conspiracy to escape, damage to public property for the removing of the toilets and damaging of the infrastructure, possession of contraband for the cell phones and civilian clothing that were borrowed during their escape. Each of these charges adds about 5 to 10 years on top of their original sentences. So that quick little run for freedom, but most of them a few extra decades. This is related, but not really. It's more like a sideboard, and I thought it was interesting, so I wanted to share it with you. Let's learn something together, right? But under the Louisiana's revised statutes, simple escape applies when a person unlawfully deports from a lawful custody, including a correctional facility or transport vehicle. The law doesn't require the use of force or violence, just the act of leaving qualifies. Meaning, even if these guys didn't bust heads or take hostages, they're still looking at a serious time just for walking out that hole, you know? And as previously stated, Sterling Williams is facing charges for 10 counts of principal to simple escape and 1 count of malfeasance in the office. Williams still insists that he was coerced. The investigators obviously say that he willingly shut off the water and gave inmates access to the wall, so they don't believe him. Surveillance shows him he entered the cell block with tools. He never returns, and he didn't appear to be in distress entry. So in the wake of everything that happened, anybody has to take the heat from the public, right? Heads must roll and the people want blood, so they will get it, right? The people facing these backlashes were Deputy Kendra Holmes, who got a suspension without paying for allegedly failing to perform hourly cell checks during the 12 hours window, and she is now under internal investigation for negligence and falsifying logs, which I feel like a lot of people do at work. She wrote in her logs that she did routine checks on the hours, but security timestamps and hallway cameras show no one entered that block for almost 6 straight hours. So she a liar, allegedly. 4 additional deputies are under review for failure to follow policies. 2 reportedly turned off the radios between the hours of 2 a.m. and 4 a.m. during the escape window. Probably to catch some Z's, I'm sure. But in another news, there has been a leaked internal memo suggesting that the Orleans Parish Sheriff's Office may have tried to minimize the breach in earlier communications. And the staff meeting the next morning after they escaped included orders to limit outside communication and to not speak to the press. So this wasn't just a PR crisis, it was an operational failure, and they knew it. The New Orleans Parish Justice Centers always had a troubled history. They had been long criticized for poor condition, inadequate staffing, and even outdated infrastructures. In 1968, there was a mass escape of 21 inmates who fled the facility, and this goes to show that security has always been a long-standing problem in this prison. The jail has been under a federal decree since 2013, mandating improvements in conditions and operations, specifically the chronic staffing shortage and infrastructure problems, including but not limited to faulty locks, surveillance blind spots, and aging facilities. And then recently, prior to the May 2025 escape, there was a report of potential incidents, but they went unaddressed. The May 2025 escape from the Orleans Parish Justice Center was not an isolated incident, and it's nothing new. Despite numerous reform efforts, the facility remains unchanged. If the Orleans Parish Jail was a person, it'd be a guy who just keeps promising he'll change while still hiding bodies in the crawl space. Or if that's too morbid for you, then I guess it's the guy who promises to stop cheating, but he doesn't actually care to do it. These are very specific. Every few years, there is a new scandal, a new hearing, and a new set of promises. But after 10 inmates vanished into the New Orleans streets, this only exposed holes, lies, maybe even sabotage. The pressure for real reform has reached a boiling point. So only time will tell if changes are to be made. One resident of the jail says, "This ain't just about the jail. It's about how they treat us, period." 10 men slipped out of the jail. One maintenance worker opened a door he shouldn't have, and the whole city, the whole country, was left asking the same thing. How the hell did we let this happen? Again, what's the purpose of a jail? To detain? To punish? To rehabilitate? To warehouse people that society doesn't know what to do with? Because if it's the last one, if it's the latter, that's how we end up with a mental health patient in solitary confinement. Men escaping, apparently, through rusted toilets. Taxpayers funding $80 million budgets with zero results. And justice becoming, well, a performance art. If this was just a fluke, like a moment of failure, then maybe next time we'll do better, okay? But if this is who we are, there is no escape that's going to fix what's already broken in that case, okay? I mean, can you even imagine the fear that victims probably felt every day because they don't know when the other shoe is going to drop? Like the idea that the person locked up for victimizing you could get out any moment. That's a horrifying and anxiety-inducing thought. But this concludes the video. What were your thoughts? I want to know all your theories, so leave them down below. I would love to read all of them, okay? But thank you for joining me on this little dive into the case of the New Orleans escape. I call it the Great Escape. Don't forget to hit the like, subscribe if you haven't already. And once again, thank you so much for joining me. I appreciate you so much. And remember to always stay smart, stay curious, and don't be a sterling, okay? Don't go out there helping with prison breaks, okay? Like, this is real life. It's not a movie, okay? Like, this whole story is I don't even know how to describe it, but I feel like so much of the stuff that happened around us, it's stuff that we can control for the most part. It's stuff that we can prepare ahead for. I'm trying to find the word, but I can't find the word. It's like prevent, right? It's stuff that we can prevent before it even happens, but we don't. And then stuff like this happen, and we wonder how could this be? Well, I mean, how could it not be? If you leave your door open, a thief's gonna enter and steal, right? Unless you live in a really great neighborhood, then, well, I guess your neighbors probably give each other cookies and welcome you to the neighborhood, so they'll probably watch your door for you. But still, anyways, I'm going on a tangent. I'm gonna leave you with this, okay? Just take care of yourself, stay out of inmates and convicts business. And I apologize for all the thundering and the lightning and all of that stuff. I have this one eye that is bothering me so much. Ugh. But anyways, I want to say thank you for joining me once again. I appreciate you guys so much. I sound so sarcastic sometimes when I say that, but I really mean it. Like, I appreciate you just taking time to even click on the video just to be like, what is this girl talking about? So thank you so much. I hope you have a fantastic day. Bye.